Alright, Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praise to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Rakakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well and teach well. Peace and salutation unto the elect of the nation of Israel scattered throughout the four corners of the earth. And in this video, I'm going to be chiming in on the current wave amongst the body. Amongst the body, the hopeful elect, where here it is once again, you have Christians trying to come against the body, pushing that same old argument that the Gentiles and the heathens that are promised mercy through Yahweh Shai, according to the scriptures, it's talking about actual Gentiles, meaning actual heathen nations, coming back with that same old tired argument once again in 2022. And as brothers always do, primarily the brothers of Great Millstone, starting with the apostles and the elders on down. As usual, they do response videos, defending the gospel and proving to these Christians time after time that the Gentiles and the heathens that are promised mercy and salvation in the scriptures are actually Israelites, and Israelite foreigners. Israelite foreigners that are scattered throughout the four corners of the earth. Following the ways of those heathen nations that they're scattered amongst. In a Gentile state of mind. And this is just, once again in 2022. These Christians are just showing, that ultimately they don't understand the scriptures, they don't understand the history, and ultimately the spirit is just not dealing with them. They're not dealing with the true narrative of the Bible. So this is the book of Matthew chapter 24 verse 29. Yahweh Shai speaking. It says, immediately after the tribulation of those days, the time of Jacob's trouble, which were fastly approaching midway into 2022. Immediately after the tribulation of those days shall the sun be darkened, and the moon shall not give her light, and the stars shall fall from heaven, and the powers of heaven and the powers of the heavens shall be shaken. And that's going into the thermonuclear destruction of America, Babylon the Great. This place is going to be shaken. By those ICBM nuclear missiles being shot off from the different countries throughout the world. To ultimately turn this place, America, Babylon the Great, into a lake of fire, as the Apostle John spoke of in the book of Revelation. But it says, verse 30, and then shall appear the sign of the Son of Man in heaven, and then shall all the tribes of the earth mourn. The tribes being what? The 12 tribes of the nation of Israel. It says, and they shall see the Son of Man coming in the clouds of heaven with power and great glory. The clouds of heaven is talking about the chariots, which Esau Edom refers to as UFOs, and even particular Christians, even they they believe that so-called UFOs aren't the chariots of the Lord. These Christians, their minds go no further than Esau Edom's pseudoscience. Hence why you have guys like Vocab Malone, who don't believe in who doesn't believe in spiritual power, that the men of the Lord are going to receive spiritual power in the last days before the Lord returns. These Christians, they claim to believe in the Bible, and they claim to believe in God and love Jesus and all these things, but when it comes to getting down into the scriptures, and really and truly believing on the Most High, like they would have you believe, Okay, they really don't believe in the words of the Lord, in the words of the Bible. Okay, they don't even believe in his keeping his laws. Hence why they tell you can eat whatever you want. That when who they call Christ died on the cross, he died so that we don't have to keep the laws in his current time, because we're under grace. Which, according to Romans the 6th chapter, the Apostle Paul said that just because we're under grace, that doesn't mean we're not allowed to commit sin and break the laws. All right, roughly paraphrasing it. But getting back to the point, verse 31, Matthew 24:31, and he shall send his angels with a great sound of a trumpet, and they shall gather together his elect from the four winds, from one end of the heaven to the other. All right, so Yahushua said, all right, he's going to send the angels, all right, to gather the elect, his elect, from the four winds, meaning what? The four corners of the earth, from one end of heaven to the other, meaning all over the planet Earth. He's going to send the angels to gather his elect. Now, real quick, of course, who is the elect? All right, Salakia. So Isaiah 45. Yeah, Salakia. All right, now who is the elect that Yahushua is going to send the angels together? This is Isaiah chapter 45, verse 4. For Jacob my servant's sake, and Israel mine elect. I have even called thee by thy name. I have surnamed thee, though thou hast not known me. Okay, so that elect that Yahushua is going to send the angels together is talking about the elect amongst the nation of Israel, because of course we know according to prophecy that not all Israel is going to receive mercy from the Lord on this side, because the Lord said he's going to cut off 2/3 of the nation of Israel. That's pursuant to Zechariah 13 verse 8 on down. All right, so amongst the elect, amongst the nation of Israel, Yahushua is going to gather the elect amongst the elect, which is the remnant. Okay, the 1/3 of the nation of Israel. So here it is. If the Lord isn't even dealing with all of his people, then what in the hell makes you think that he's going to deal with the heathen nations and grant them salvation, when he's not even going to grant, all right, 2/3 of his own people, all right, the majority of his own people, because 2/3 of something makes up the majority of something. The Lord is not even going to grant the majority of his people mercy and salvation on this side in this current life. So how in the hell is he going to grant the actual heathen nations, including Esau, Edom, the very people that the Lord himself says that he hates, salvation? That doesn't make any sense. Okay, just ask the religion of Christianity as a whole. All right, so let's go to the book of Jeremiah. Let's go to the book of Jeremiah, chapter 31, and let's start at verse 7. Jeremiah 31, verse 7. For thus saith the Lord, sing with gladness for Jacob, and shout among the chief of the nations. All right, and in this current time, what is the chief among the nations on the planet Earth right now? America, Babylon the Great. All right, so what would the elect, or the men of the Lord in these latter days be shouting among the chief of the nations, America, Babylon the Great? It says, publish ye, all right, publish ye, make it public. What would they make public? All right, praise ye and say, O Lord Yahweh, save thy people, the remnant of Israel. And all right, the men of great millstone, starting with the apostles on down, Is this not ultimately the end all be all of their doctrine? Okay, including brothers like myself that are outside the camp. Is this not ultimately the end all be all of what we teach? Okay, constantly praying, all right, and crying out to Yahweh Shema Shai, saying what? Save thy people, the remnant of Israel. You know, praying to the Lord. Gather the remnant out of this wicked kingdom, Babylon the Great. Okay, filled with all types of vexation and abominations. All right, in the midst of it. Okay, we're looking to get up out of this place and ultimately see this place be destroyed. All right, so it says, verse 8, behold, I will bring them from the north country. All right, and what is that north country? America, Babylon the Great. Because what is America? All right, where is America located at on the globe? All right, the northwestern hemisphere of the planet Earth. And here in America is where the bulk of the nation of Israel's captivity lies. All right, amongst all 12 tribes. From Judah down to Benjamin, Levi, Ephraim, Manasseh, Gad. All right, all the way down to Issachar. The main bulk of the 12 tribes of Israel's captivity is here in America, Babylon the Great, the north country. Okay, so it says, behold, I will bring them from the north country and gather them from the coast of the earth, and with them the blind and the lame. Okay, which when you go into the law, the blind and the lame were not allowed to enter into the temple and offer up sacrifices to the Lord. Okay, according to how it was done according to the old covenant. But of course, when you read in the Gospels, the same blind and lame that would basically be rejected by the priests in the temple, that wouldn't be allowed to sacrifice. Yahushua performed some of his greatest miracles on the blind and the lame. Okay, basically the blind and the lame represents Gentile Israelites. All right, Gentile Israelites that were alienated from the commonwealth of Israel, which is what? The law, the covenant, the temple, and so on and so forth. So it says, and with them the blind and the lame, the woman with child, and her that travaileth with child together, a great company shall return thither. All right, the 1/3 of the nation of Israel. That's that great company. It says, verse 9, they shall come with weeping, and with supplications will I lead them. Repenting. Okay, we're going to come to the Lord weeping, because of we're going to come to him in a sorrow of heart, and with a broken heart and broken spirit, because of us repenting for all the wrongdoings and the sins that we committed in the eyes of the Lord before we were eventually woken up to this truth. Okay, so it says, they shall come with weeping, and with supplications will I lead them. I will cause them to walk by the rivers of waters in a straight way, which those rivers of water represent the rivers of living water, which is this truth. Okay, it says, wherein they shall not stumble, for I am a father to Israel, and Ephraim is my firstborn. Verse 10, hear the word of the Lord, O ye nations, and declare it in the isles afar off, and say, he that scattered Israel, all right, he that scattered Israel will gather him and keep him, as a shepherd doth his flock. And who ultimately scattered the nation of Israel? Well, Yahweh Shema Shai, because that ultimately goes back to the curses. Okay, specifically Deuteronomy the 28th chapter, around about the 64th verse. Okay, which basically says what? Let's get it real quick. All right, because of our disobedience to the Heavenly Father and breaking His laws and breaking His covenant, the Lord basically said that, one of the curses He would bring upon us is that He would scatter us among all nations. All right, this is Deuteronomy chapter 28, start at verse 63. And it shall come to pass that as the Lord rejoice over you to do you good and to multiply you, so the Lord will rejoice over you to destroy you and to bring you to naught. And ye shall be plucked from off the land, whither thou goest to possess it. All right, the land of Israel. The Lord said He's going to pluck us off from that land. And where will we end up? Once being plucked off of the Holy Land, the land that He gave to our forefathers. All right, the land of Israel. It says, verse 64, and the Lord shall scatter thee. See that? The Lord shall scatter thee among all people from the one end of the earth even unto the other. And there thou shalt serve other gods, which neither thou nor thy fathers have known, even wood and stone. All right, so upon being scattered, throughout all these lands, throughout the four corners of the earth, all right, the Lord said we will serve other gods. Okay, the gods of the nations of the people that will be dwelling in all the particular lands that we will be scattered amongst. Okay, and therefore making us what? Making us liken unto Gentiles. Okay, liken unto the Gentile nations that we would dwell amongst. Okay, following their customs, their culture. Okay, turning into a wild olive tree. Being uncultivated according to our culture in the scriptures. All right, and basically being in a Gentile state of mind because of going after the idols of the heathen nations where the Lord scattered us amongst. All right, so the first part of that 64th verse, and the Lord shall scatter thee among all people from the one end of the earth even unto the other. So when we go back to Jeremiah 31:10, hear the word of the Lord, O you nations, and declare it in the isles afar off, and say, He that scattered Israel, which was the Lord, according to what we just read in Deuteronomy 28:64, it says, He that scattered Israel will gather him. All right, so just as the Lord scattered us in these latter days, now He's going to gather us through Yahushua. But not all of us, of course, only the elect of us, the elect of the nation of Israel. And it says, and keep him as a shepherd doth his flock. All right, was that shepherd being Yahushua? Verse 11, for the Lord hath redeemed Jacob and ransomed him from the hand of him that was stronger than he. Okay, so the Lord's going to ransom us, redeem us, and ultimately deliver us from the hand or the yad, the power of him that was stronger than us. And right now, who is the current nation, or better yet, the main number one current nation that's stronger than us right now, currently, that will be the nation of Esau, Edom. All right, because he's the one that's in power over the planet Earth, according to the blessing that our forefather Isaac gave unto him in Genesis the 27th chapter, where he gave him the blessing of the sword, and basically telling him that he will rule over the fatness of the earth by way of the sword. And this current time in history is literally the fulfillment of Esau, Edom, living out that blessing. All right, who is the so-called white man today? All right. Now let's look at this word stronger. All right, from the hand of him that was stronger than he. Let's look up this word stronger. It says hazak, hazak, and it means strong, stout. Okay, stout, mighty, strong, severe, sharp, hot, firm, hard, a strong one. Okay, so it says strong, stout, mighty. Now, when you think of the word stout, all right, it says, it says in verse 11 that the Lord would ransom us from the hand of him that was stronger than us, or stout than us. Now, when you think of this word stout, all right, it leads you to what? Let's go to Daniel, the 7th chapter. This is Daniel chapter 7, and I'll start at verse 19. Then I would know the truth of the fourth beast. All right, and what is that fourth beast? That's the ancient Roman system, and in which here today in America, as well as NATO and the EU, all right, America and NATO, and as well as NATO and the EU, is the the extension or the last leg of the fourth beast system, that ancient Roman system. But it says, verse 19, Daniel 7 and 19, then I would know the truth of the fourth beast, which was diverse from all the others, exceeding dreadful, whose teeth were of iron, and his nails of brass. Okay, because the ancient Roman military, the ancient Roman Empire had the strongest military ever seen or ever known to mankind back in the ancient world. And that same pretty much that same thing has been reincarnated, for lack of better words, here with the US military. But of course, as of 2022, we see the United States military as well as NATO, but mainly the United States, on a steep decline. Okay, for various reasons, because it's too spread out throughout the planet Earth, just as the ancient Roman military was, and as well, okay, America's military has gotten too woke, by allowing women, to fight in the military, allowing the alphabet people to participate in the military. All right, and all these things ultimately lead to the United States taking the ultimate L. All right, whenever you have these all these internal issues within their military. Okay, but just as the ancient Roman Empire had all types of internal issues with their military, which was one of the reasons that ultimately led to their downfall. All right, but it says, the latter part of verse 19, which devoured, break in pieces, and stamped the residue with his feet. Meaning the ancient Roman Empire, conquered many territories, okay, through brutal, violent wars. But it says, verse 20, and of the 10 horns that were in his head, or the 10 horns representing the vassal states that ruled with the ancient Roman Empire, just as today. All right, you have European vassal states that rule with America, which would be what? NATO, as well as the EU. It started off as 10, but then eventually, those countries expanded, all right, to what we know today as the EU. All right, and it's all part of that the 10 horns that we're reading about right here. All right, so verse 20, and of the 10 horns that were in his head, and of the other which came up, and before whom 3 fell, even of that horn that had eyes, and a mouth that spake very great things, whose look was more stout than its fellows. Okay, whose look was more stout than his fellows. Now, what is this little horn speaking of? This little horn is speaking about the United States of America specifically. And when it says before whom three fell, the three horns that fell before America came into power is talking about, all right, the Spanish Empire. All right, after the so-called Renaissance period, the French Empire, and then after the French, the British Empire, because America came out of the British. All right, so those were the three horns that fell eventually before this little horn, America, came into power. Where it says, even of that horn that had eyes, meaning what? All these inventions and technology that that America has invented and used, okay, pseudoscience and whatnot, to ultimately do all types of wickedness and rebellion against Yahweh Shema Shai. It says, even of that horn that had eyes, and a mouth that spake very great things, yes, such as New World Order, okay, Great Reset, all right, all these agendas that Esau Edom here in Babylon the Great America has pushed and promoted. All right, that's against the laws of Yahweh Shema Shai. All right, this whole alphabet movement. Okay, those are all some of the great things that this place has spoke against the Most High. It says the latter part of verse 20, whose look was more stout than his fellows. See that? So this little horn, America, was more stout than the other horns that came before it. Which three of those other horns being what? The Spanish, French, and the British. Okay, so America's look was stout, according to what we're reading right here. All right, so when you go back to Jeremiah 31:11, for the Lord hath redeemed Jacob, and ransomed him from the hand of him that was stronger than he, more stout than he. This is telling you what? That this prophecy would come to pass here in these latter days, at the latter end of this fourth beast system. All right. Well, Yahushua is going to send the angels to deliver the elect amongst the nation of Israel. Okay, verse 21, Daniel 7 verse 21, I beheld, and the same horn made war with the saints, and prevailed against them. And who are the saints? All right, who are the saints? Real quick. Go to Psalms 148. Psalms 148 and 14. He also exalted the horn of his people, the praise of all his saints. And who's the horn of the Lord's people, the nation of Israel? Yahweh Shai, the horn of our salvation, as well as the praise of of his saints, the nation of Israel. Because how do we praise the Heavenly Father? Through his begotten Son Yahweh Shai. It says, he also exalted the horn of his people, the praise of all his saints, even of the children of Israel, a people near unto him. Praise ye the Lord Yahweh. Okay, so the saints are the Israelites. So when it says in Daniel 7 and 21, I beheld, and the same horn made war with the saints. All right, this horn, America, made war with the saints, being the Israelites. All right, not you Christians. Okay, because nobody's persecuting you Christians. This system doesn't have laws and legislations that they're getting ready to pass to persecute Christians. No, because you Christians don't have the testimony of Yahweh Shai, nor are you covered with his blood. All right, because the Lord is not dealing with that religion. Okay, or anybody that follows the religion of Christianity. He's only dealing with the elect of his people, the nation of Israel. All right, which is this system is getting ready to pass legislations, to come after the elect. are the men of the Lord. It says, I beheld, and the same horn made war with the saints, and prevailed against them. All right, during a period of 350 years. All right, from 1619, when the so-called Negroes were first brought to America to serve slavery, up until the time of the late 1960s, early 1970s, where you had men like Alba Bivens that came on the scene, teaching the gospel. And from that point on, that's when the remnant started waking up in this current day. Okay, where this devil was no longer able to prevail over us. Okay, at least mentally and spiritually, because now through this truth and through this great awakening, we've now received the victory over this devil Esau Edom and his beast system through through the Spirit. Basically, now we're just waiting to ultimately receive the victory over this system. Okay, physically, by getting beamed up in the chariots. Okay, receiving the new bodies with the law, statutes, commandments written in our inward parts, and ruling in the kingdom of heaven. All right, so it says, verse 22, Daniel 7, verse 22, until, and I'm pretty sure a lot of you Christians would love to have a shrimp po' boy sitting in front of you right now. Okay, hot and ready. Since a lot of you Christians don't believe in the laws and that you could just eat whatever you want to eat. Okay, we'll see what that mentality gets you. All right, when the time of great tribulation comes. All right. So it says, Daniel 7 verse 22, until the Ancient of Days came, and judgment was given to the saints of the Most High, the Israelites, starting with the elect, and the time came that the saints possessed the kingdom. 23. Thus he said, the fourth beast shall be the fourth kingdom upon earth, which shall be diverse from all kingdoms, and shall devour the whole earth, and shall tread it down and break it in pieces. And so far to this date, in all of human history, what is the one and only country that has ever had rulership, flat out rulership and dominion over the whole entire planet Earth? That will be the United States of America. So this 23rd verse right here proves without a shadow of a doubt that America is an extension or the last leg, and damn near the last hope of this fourth beast, this fourth beast system. But as it says up above in the 22nd verse, in verse 22, until the Ancient of Days came and judgment was given to the saints of the Most High, and the time came that the saints possessed the kingdom. All right. So at the last leg of this fourth beast system, America, once Yahweh and the angels takes this place down, as well as the ICBM thermonuclear missiles, that's when the saints, or the elect of the nation of Israel, are going to basically come into power and take over under the authority of Yahweh. And for a period of 1,000 years, all right, that first 1,000 years in the kingdom, all right, we're going to be basically subduing the nations and ruling over them with the rod of iron, enforcing them to keep the law, statutes, and commandments of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai. All right, which is that's going to be the performed by the house of David. All right, the house of David, that's going to be the governing body of the kingdom of heaven under Yahushai. All right, because what does the scripture say? Also in the book of Daniel, okay, the 2nd chapter, and the 44th verse. All right, Daniel chapter 2, verse 44. And in the days of these kings shall the power, or the God of heaven, set up a kingdom which shall never be destroyed. And what is this kingdom that the Lord is getting ready to set up after this kingdom goes down? That's the kingdom of heaven, which shall never be destroyed, an everlasting kingdom. It says, and the kingdom shall not be left to other people, but it shall break in pieces and consume all these kingdoms, and it shall stand forever. So it says, let me read that second half of the verse again. And the kingdom shall not be left to other people. What does that mean? That means no other nation of people is going to be ruling and blessed in the kingdom of heaven outside of the saints, which is who? The nation of Israel, starting with the elect. But instead, when the elect of the nation of Israel are going to be delivered into the kingdom of heaven, what are they going to be doing again? But it shall break into pieces and consume all these kingdoms. We're going to be ruling over these nations with a rod of iron. Okay, forcing them to keep the laws of the Bible. Otherwise, if they refuse and they buck up, okay, we're basically going to basically going to lay the smackdown on them. All right, and put the asses in check. All right, and it says, and it shall stand forever. All right, so we can clearly see that all these things that I've read so far, and there's there's more that I can, go into to further, prove the point that the Lord is only going to come back, to deliver the elect of the nation of Israel, and ultimately, only the Israelites that are going to receive salvation and be blessed and rule in the kingdom of heaven, and no heathen will partake in the blessings in the kingdom of heaven. All right, there's plenty more scriptures and prophecies that I can go into, but I don't want this video to be too long. All right, because getting pretty close to my bedtime and I gotta be up early in the morning. But real quick, let's go to the book of Ezekiel. All right, let's go to Ezekiel, the 11th chapter. All right, and I think pretty much once I'm done in this chapter, I think I'm pretty much end this off. All right, so this is Ezekiel chapter 11, and I'll start at verse 14. Again, the word of the Lord came unto me, saying, Son of man, thy brethren, even thy brethren, the men of thy kindred, and all the house of Israel, holy. All right, so proving that the prophet Ezekiel was an Israelite. All right, his brethren, his kindred. All right, all the house of Israel, holy. Are they unto whom the inhabitants of Jerusalem have said, Get you far from the Lord. Unto us is this land given in possession. Therefore say, Thus saith the Lord power, although I have cast them far off among the heathen. Okay, although I have cast them far off among the heathen, pursuant to Deuteronomy 28 and 64. And although I have scattered them among the countries, yet will I be to them as a little sanctuary in the countries where they shall come. That little sanctuary is the elect of the nation of Israel, the 1/3, starting with the 144,000 governing body of the elect, all right, under Yahushua, which is also the 144,000 is the tabernacle of David, or the house of David. Okay, that's that little sanctuary. So it says, verse 17, Therefore say, Thus saith the Lord power, I will even gather you from the people, and assemble you out of the countries where ye have been scattered, and I will give you the land of Israel. And they shall come thither, and they shall take away all the detestable things thereof, and all the abominations thereof from thence. And I will give them one heart, and I will put a new spirit within you, and I will take the stony heart out of their flesh, and will give them an heart of flesh. And it's verse 19. Everything that is saying in verse 19 right here, that's ultimately going to be fulfilled with the new covenant. All right, with the elect getting beamed up into the chariots, so-called UFOs, and receiving those new bodies that's going to house, all right, these new hearts that the Lord is going to put in us, okay, so to speak, and take away the the stony hearts, so to speak, out of our out of us. Which, what does the stony heart represents? Okay, incomparable to flesh. A stony heart, stone represents something that's hard to penetrate or get through. Okay, so the Lord is going to take away that heart of stone out of us. Okay, where it was difficult for us to to ultimately receive the law, statutes, and commandments and live perfectly according to the laws. The Lord said He's going to take that heart out of us and put in us a heart of flesh. Now, what is flesh in comparison to stone? Flesh is a lot more easier to penetrate and get through. So the Lord is going to put in us a mindset that's going to be easier for Him to put His laws in us, as well as His knowledge and His wisdom. Okay, and again, all those things are going to be fulfilled, all right, in the new covenant, pursuant to Jeremiah 31, where we just left off from, as well as the book of Hebrews, the 8th chapter. All right, so Ezekiel 11, verse 19 again. And I will give them one heart, and I will put a new spirit within you, and I will take the stony heart out of their flesh, and will give them an heart of flesh, that they may walk in my statutes, and keep my ordinances, and do them. And they shall be my people, and I will be their God. And who does this all pertain to? The nation of Israel, and the nation of Israel only. As a matter of fact, since I mentioned the new covenant, let's just go ahead and bring it out in Hebrews 8th chapter. All right, Hebrews chapter 8, verse 8. For finding fault with them, he said, Behold, the days come, saith the Lord, when I will make a new covenant with the house of Israel and with the house of Judah. All right, all 12 tribes, northern and southern kingdom, Israel and Judah. It says, verse 9, Not according to the covenant that I made with their fathers in the day when I took them by the hand to lead them out of the land of Egypt. All right, because it was only the Israelites, well, primarily the Israelites, that the Lord came in and get out of Egypt. Now, of course, we understand when you read in the the Torah, that you also had remnants of other heathen nations that followed us through the Red Sea, that came out of Egypt with us. But ultimately, those heathens were cast out of the congregation. All right, but nonetheless, verse 9 again, not according to the covenant that I made with their fathers in the day when I took them by the hand to lead them out of the land of Egypt. All right, because that first covenant was only made with the nation of Israel coming out of Egypt. You can read that in the book of Deuteronomy, the 29th chapter, in the first verse, as well as Exodus, the 24th chapter. All right, the old covenant was only made with the nation of Israel, just as the new covenant is going to be made with the nation of Israel. It says, because they continue not in my covenant, and I regarded them not, saith the Lord. Yeah, the Lord disregarded us and ultimately plucked us out of the Holy Land. Okay, to this very day. It says, verse 10, Hebrews 8 and 10, For this is the covenant that I will make with the house of Israel after those days, saith the Lord. All right, after what days? After the days of tribulation, the days of Jacob's trouble. Okay, the final days of our captivity, primarily here in America, Babylon the Great. It says, said the Lord, I will put my laws in their mind and write them in their hearts, and I will be to them a God, and they shall be to me a people. All right, and that's going to be fulfilled once the elect are beamed up into the chariots, receiving the new bodies. It says, and they shall not teach every man his neighbor and every man his brother, saying, know the Lord, for all shall know me, from the least to the greatest. Yeah, all Israel is going to know the Lord by heart, because his knowledge is just going to be programmed into us. Okay, and you Christians, all right, I dare you to show me anywhere in the scripture where these same promises were made to any other nation outside of the nation of Israel. All right, you're not gonna find one, because it doesn't exist. The Lord is only dealing with his people, the nation of Israel, as it was from the beginning, and it's going to be like that forever. All right, as long as the sun and the moon is giving out their light, all right, pursuant to what Jeremiah 31, as long as we look outside during the daytime and see the sun, as long as we look outside during the nighttime and we see the moon, then that's ultimately a sign that the Lord is still that the nation of Israel is still here on the planet Earth, and the Lord is still dealing with his people. Okay, and he's going to send Yahushua and the angels back in this lifetime to gather the elect, or the remnant of his people, all right, of the nation of Israel. All right, and no heathen is going to be a part of that. All right, so yeah, that's pretty much it on that. I just wanted to bring that out, and basically get in on the action, so to speak. All right, so these Christians are through in 2022. The Lord is not dealing with the religion of Christianity, and these Christians don't have it. So with that, Lord willing, this video is edifying. Until next time, Shalom.